we got off to a better start. I mean, I think that's where I would start is what's that? Yeah, don't worry about them. They're not going to quiet down. They won the game. Let them celebrate. You don't need to hear from me. We'll talk over them. They got off to a much better start. I mean, I think we made a case in point how important it was to get off to a better start. You know, obviously the great drive to start. And then we made, too many mistakes on the ensuing UCLA drive, which were maddening. But all of their points in the first half were just mistakes that are all correctable mistakes, and we corrected them in the second half and played, really well in the second half, controlled the second half. I think we had 2 drives that were 90-plus drives. I think that's hadn't done that here in, over 20 years. So over 20 years. Who's been here for over 20 years? Yeah, you guys don't, you raise your hand, but you don't know. I'm giving you the information for the first time because you guys act like you've been here for 20 years. No, I knew it. Anyway, those 2 drives obviously, were key in terms of, just setting the tone for the game. We controlled the line of scrimmage and, ran the football, threw it, had some key third down conversions. And then defensively, we got off the field. We had the key sack and drove them out of field goal range and played complimentary football. So wish we were cleaner in the first half. The mistakes are maddening. We got to clean them up. We're going to continue to work. No, those are the guys we got. There's nobody getting traded. We're not, those are the guys we're going to work with, and we're going to just keep coaching them. And we're going to keep working with them, and they're going to turn the corner in terms of listening and trusting, and we're going to keep working on how to put them in a better position as coaches and get ready for South Alabama. But it was a good win, and pleased with the group in terms of the way they started. So with that, we'll open up the questions.
Coach, how's Harold Perkins?
He's injured. We don't know. I mean, we'll do all the diagnostic testing tonight and tomorrow, and we'll have a better answer for you when we do our presser on Monday.
And with Mason Taylor, he's been, I guess, a very consistent security blanket for you guys offensively. How important is it to have a guy like him?
Yeah, nobody talked about him coming into the season. I thought he was unheralded. You guys didn't talk about him. The national media didn't talk about him. Now you guys start talking about him because he's the all-time leading receiver in LSU history. And now all of a sudden you want to talk about Mason Taylor. Where were you guys talking about him earlier in the season? You were talking about everybody else but Mason Taylor. So now he's the leading receiver you want to talk about. I don't want to talk about him.
Coach, in the first half, you went into the locker room at 17-17, and in the second half, your defense clamped down and shut them out in the second half. What changes did your defense make?
They didn't make any changes. They executed the defenses that were called, and execution is attention to detail, doing your job. DYJ. Do your job. That's an acronym. DYJ. And they just we need to do our job, and they did it in the second half. And if we just continue to do our job on defense in particular, now offensively we had some key drops, right? I mean, we got to catch the football, and we got to make the timely calls offensively. We got to coach it, but doing our job on defense was the biggest difference from the first half to the second half.
Coach, right here. You talk about Savion Jones and Braden Swinson. I know the front seven played well, throughout the game. But what do those guys give you, and how has Coach Peoples just really unlocked their pass rush moves?
Well, I think that a lot of credit should go to Coach Peoples and his ability to teach the technique necessary for 2 different kinds of players. Swinson's 238, 240 pounds if he eats and takes all his supplements like he's supposed to each week, which sometimes doesn't happen. But we stay on him to make sure he does that. He'll be in here in a little bit, and he can comment on that, to ask him about him taking his supplements and making sure that he eats all the time. But my point being is that's a guy who's a lot lighter, and then you have a 275-pound defensive end. They are clearly different players. And he's been able to take 2 different players with different skill sets and give them the ability to pass rush and using different techniques. I think he's done a terrific job. And both those guys have too. Let's face it. It takes two to tango. Both those guys have really worked their craft and have been extremely coachable. And we're starting to see those efforts come to fruition.
Coach, apparently there were a number of fans who needed medical attention, and that side of the stadium is tough for those fans with the sun and everything. Do you have any thoughts on day games in September here in the South?
My comments would be, the TV schedule is something that I have no control over. I'm sure our administration gets a chance to weigh in. We would prefer, later games, but we're beholden to what the national audience is. That's the best I can do. I feel bad. I hope everybody is okay. I did see visually that there weren't many people in the stands over there because the sun is obviously pounding on them. I don't know what the plans are. I know Kelly's in is here. She probably can give you a little bit more information on the retractable roof that we're talking about. Or maybe not. She can field questions about that later. No, I'm kidding. There's no retractable roof. But yours is a serious matter, and I get it. But I really don't have much say on that in terms of the games.
Brian, you talked about the progress from one half to the second. Are you comfortable with the progress 4 games into this season that your team is making?
Yeah, we've played 3 out of 4 teams that are Power 4, Power 4, Power 5, conferences, however you want to put it. I don't want to disrespect any of the conferences, but, it's been a process for us, in terms of, I think we found our stride in terms of what we want to do offensively. I think we saw that today. We did some really good things defensively. The difference is we're pressuring, we're getting turnovers, we're doing some really good things defensively, and then it's just maddening some of the silly mistakes that we're making on defense that just have to go away as we get, we're going to get a really good South Alabama team in there. Major Applewhite's originally from this area. He's going to have that football team raring to go. And, we saw how hard Nicholls State played. South Alabama has got a lot of talent. They got some young players that are really good. We got to be ready for that football team. And then we get into, the meat of the schedule. So, we've made some improvements, but we got a ways to go. So continuing to develop our football team so we do the little things the right way. There's enough talent out here to contend for an SEC championship. We got to clean up the little mistakes.
Already talked about finding something offensively. It seems like a lot of that's Garrett, especially on those 2 really long drives. Did he show you anything else, or was really just that the recipe for y'all offensively moving forward, kind of putting the ball in his hands?
Well, it certainly is. The quarterback is this, the straw that stirs every drink in college football in terms of, anybody that you're talking about that is an outstanding football program, you're going to start talking about the quarterback first. You're not talking about him last. So Garrett Nussmeier is that guy for us. But he has a supporting cast. I think he has a really good offensive line. I think they keep him clean. I think they keep him protected. I think they allow him to do his job. He certainly has areas to grow. I think we've got to get better in the run game recognition. I think that our receivers are showing some signs. Chris was, a game time decision that we didn't, play him because we didn't see that he added enough to what we wanted to do. We thought that, we could get it from other areas. And so, there's another guy that we expect back maybe next week, full go, where we can get another vertical threat, those weapons. And then, again, you're seeing, the backs all running better, and Caden Durham obviously catching the ball out of the backfield and with his speed breaking away and making a big play. So he's got the weapons necessary, but he is the guy that makes it happen. Absolutely.
Aaron Anderson got involved early in this game. Just your thoughts on his performance today.
He's been consistent for us, a consistent ball catcher, a guy that's been one that I think has made steady improvement. He had a bad, lock up with his back on Wednesday where he couldn't practice at all. And really proud of the way he fought through it, practiced a little bit on Thursday, and then just did all the right things to get himself in the right mindset to play here on Saturday. So really proud of Aaron's development, both on and off the field, where he can come in and overcome, a back that kind of locked up on him and come up and make an impact on Saturday.
Brian, if Harold isn't able to go next week or potentially even longer, how do you guys help the guys around him not allow that to be something that really factors into how they play? Obviously, with him being a big piece, a leader on that side of the ball, how do you not allow that to get them down?
Yeah, we've got great leaders with Greg Penn. We hope he's okay, but, we've got Greg Penn. We've got, Whit Weeks. West will be back next week, which he's played really good football for us. So we can still stay in our Buffalo package. We can go back into our dime package, dropping Major down. So we've got a lot of options there. We hope he's okay. We hope he's back for us. But we'll be able to move into other packages that resemble what we've been doing.
Yeah, you guys have improved your run game a lot since the beginning of the season.
Well, thank you. I think you're the only one that realizes that, other than the 800 million people that want us to run it better, but thank you.
Can you just talk to me a little bit about what's changed for you guys in that aspect?
I just think opportunity, and I think our backs are seeing it better. Part of the running game is the comfortability of those backs to really see holes and make some people miss. And again, that's not a veteran group, other than Josh. Those are young players that are, gradually coming into their own. And I think, it was difficult to run today. I don't know if you guys watched the game at all. If you did, you saw backers up all day, crowding the line of scrimmage, making it very difficult, but they gave us the ability to throw the ball. I don't know, what did we throw for, 350? When you're throwing for 350, plus, it means the box is loaded and it's hard to run it. But we still found a way when it was time to run the ball, especially down by the goal line, we exerted our will, and that was what we did. And thanks again for the running question. We don't get many of those around here, which is crazy, but thank you.